So, check this out, people. I want to tell you guys a story about a dog named Cujo I used to have when I was a kid, right? Cujo belonged to a friend of mine who wasn't very good with dogs, right? And so Cujo was really skittish, right? About everybody. And so if someone he didn't know walked into the house, he'd run and hide under the bed, right? And it took me months to get him to be normal, right? Or at least somewhat normal, because of the trauma the dog went through. And so he liked to play catch, right? And I don't mean catch as in catch a ball and stuff like that, or stick, right? He liked to be chased, and he liked to have you try to catch him, right? And so one day we're playing catch, me, Cujo, and some of my boys on the block in the Bronx. And I'm chasing him around a parked car. And while he's running around the car, here comes a car on the road doing some, I don't know how fast this guy was going. He must have been doing 90 on a side street in New York, right, in the Bronx. And Cujo just froze. He just froze and stared at the lights in the middle of the road, right? Which is what happens with most dogs or animals, right? And so the car hit him, struck him, and pretty much killed him instantly, right? And when, the people on the block saw that, everyone came downstairs. Everybody was, pretty much broken up. And so, we took the dog and we buried him in the yard, which is where we bury every animal that dies in, when you live in the city, is, wherever you can. And so I'm telling you people this story just so that people could get a sense of how here in America, Americans treat animals, especially dogs, right? And so you don't see strays here in the US, right? You might see some stray cats, and usually cats, roam. They'll go somewhere, they find a home, and they'll still go in and out. So technically the cats are not strays, even if you see one running around in the street somewhere. But when it comes to the Philippines, for anyone who's planning on traveling there, who has animals, who has a dog, a cat, you're going to be hit pretty much with some serious trauma when it comes to what you see when it comes to dogs and cats and how they're treated in places like Thailand and the Philippines, right? There's a plane coming. This is a heavy landing and takeoff area for single engine planes. So let me just give it a break. And so if you're an American or whatever, a foreigner, Westerner, and you're not used to seeing the things that you're going to see while they're in the Philippines when it comes to dogs, especially, not so much cats, but definitely dogs, it's going to break you. It's going to sadden you. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of pet owners there. There are a lot of people there who love their animals, and you see them at the mall with their dogs, mostly in diapers. So their animals are treated well, okay? This isn't something that is universal, the things I'm saying, but they do happen, and you will see them. You will see dogs in cages who have never been out of that cage before. It's just sad. It's not something that you could get used to, right? Now at the same time, right, you're gonna see strays, a lot of strays everywhere, everywhere you go. When I say everywhere, I'm talking about at a restaurant, where you might be at a restaurant and there'll be a stray sitting a few feet away from you, looking at you, hoping that you would give him something, right? And the funny thing about these strays in the Philippines is that they're human-like. It's like they have their own personality, right, and their own community, right, and that they're simply sharing their space with us humans, right? I could only imagine so, because these dogs don't behave like typical dogs, typical strays, right? It's like they have an alliance with humans or something, right? Because they'll walk along us. They're in the Philippines. They won't harass us. They won't bother us. They won't bark at us. Nothing, right? And you could be at a restaurant and a few dogs walk inside. When I say inside, most restaurants in the Philippines have an outdoor setting, right? And they don't push the animals away. You won't see that. You will rarely see that, right? If a stray dog walks into the area and it's an outdoor area, most likely no one will bother the dog and the dog won't bother you, right? I guess that's the alliance we have, right? Where they'll just sit there, look at you. If you feed them, they'll gladly take the food. If not, they'll simply get up and walk to someone else, and so on and so on. And you see the same with the cats. And so at the same time, you know, you see the people with pets, you see the people that pretty much are treating these animals as food. That's the only thing I can imagine when I see these dogs in cages who have never been let out. I can't imagine what else you could possibly be using that dog for. It's not security. It's not a pet. I mean, you're feeding it. It's in a cage. It's never been out. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. But, you know, after being in the Philippines for a few years and seeing the things that I've seen with the strays, it saddens you. You get used to it, but you could never truly get used to it. You know, especially if you have your own pet. And, you know, India recently, their government decided to start picking up strays off the streets because of all the dog bites that they've been having there, right? All these stray dog attacks on humans. And so finally, the government is stepping in and saying, no, we got to get these dogs off the streets. And so that's what they're doing. And I think that the Philippines should do the same. They have to. I mean, because it's getting out of control. It really is. Everywhere you go, you have these dogs and these cats just suffering, you know. And a perfect example of animals, right, like these dogs in India who are attacking people. Completely different environment, completely different setting, a completely different country. It's not something common in the Philippines. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen, right? But it isn't as common. Now, I'll give you a place in the Philippines that may be common, or where you may be attacked by stray dogs in packs. And I can tell you this from first-hand experience. It didn't just happen to me once or twice, but at least 5 times. And by the second time, I learned to walk with a stick. And usually when you walk with a stick and the dogs come at you, you just, you know, wave it around or tap it on the floor a few times, and they'll just simply walk away and leave you alone. But if you ever travel to Bicol, Naga City, in Bicol, you will see stray dogs just like you do everywhere else in the Philippines. These dogs won't bother you during the day. They won't bother you when they're alone. They'll smile at you, wave hello. But then at night, when they're in packs, everything changes. everything changes. Just like humans, when we're in packs, everything changes, right? And they start to act like they've never seen you, like they don't know you, that you're not from around the way, even though you pass by that freaking dog every morning as he lays there bathing in the sun. Now he's with a pack of dogs. He don't know who you are. And they start to come at you. And so that's one place where I find where the dogs can be unpredictable is in Naga City, Bicol. And I guess it just all depends on the region or the area. But it's not something that you will see in the city. You know, it's never happened to me in the 2 years that I've been in Manila. But it has happened to me in Naga plenty of times. And so, you know, you have this stray issue. You have this animal abuse issue, right? And then you have the other side where you have these animal lovers who care about these strays and dogs, because there are plenty of people who are out there helping those dogs in the Philippines, just everyday normal Filipinos who are using their own time, their own space, and their own money to help these animals, right? With no help from the government. I mean, why would the government get involved? You know? But anyway, that's one of the things that sucks about traveling to the Philippines. If I have to say, if someone asks me, what are some of the things you don't like about the Philippines, since I'm always talking so good about it, I would have to say that, you know, the fact that the animals are mistreated, not all, but a lot of the times by a lot of people, and they're not seen as an animal with a soul. Instead, they're just seen as creatures or soulless animals that are used for food or whatever, for work, right? So that's the only thing that sucks about the Philippines. And it's like that throughout a lot of Asian countries, you know. Every animal is pretty much used for food or for work, and they don't see animals like we do here in the West, whether it's a goldfish, a horse, a raccoon, whatever. And so, you know, I don't tell them how to live their lives or how to handle their animals. I don't tell the government or anyone else what they should do about the issues that's plaguing Southeast Asia when it comes to strays and animals there. You know, all you can do is mind your business, keep your head down, and do the best you can to enjoy the country. That's it. But to go to someone else's country to protest and to put your 2 cents in a negative way, the best thing for you to do is deport yourself before they do. Before they deport you. And so, you know, I pretty much keep my mouth to myself when it comes to politics, when it comes to certain issues, you know. And like in every country, there's good and bad. You know, this is one of the bad sides about the Philippines, you know. Shoot, I remember there was a time here in America when there were strays everywhere. There were dog bites, dog attacks everywhere back in the late 70s, early 80s. You know, but that's an issue that can easily be fixed if the government decides to get involved and clean up those stray dogs and make it easier for people who are walking, cars, trucks. But you know, I have to say, again, we have an alliance with those stray dogs in the Philippines. They don't even interfere with traffic at all, at all, at all. We allow them to cross and they allow us to walk. They don't attack us We don't bother them. They don't bother us at the table, and we'll gladly throw them some scraps. That's the alliance we have with those strays. Very well behaved dogs, except for Naga City. But again, as long as you walk with a stick, you'll be all right. Thank you for watching, people. Have a good day. Have a good night.